Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvenavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We will together chant chapter 4 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, verses 25 to 30.
Devamevapare yajñam yoginah paryupasate brahmagnavapare yajñam yajño naivopajuhvati Shrotraadinindriyanyanye samyamagnishu juhvati Shabdadin vishayananye indriyagnishu juhvati Sarvanindriyakarmani pranakarmani chapare Atmasamyamayogagno juhvati jnanadipite Dravyayajñastapoyajñaha yogayajñastatha pare Swadhyayajñanayajñascha yatayas samshitavrataha Apane juhvati pranam prane panam tatha pare Pranapanagati rudva pranayama parayanaha apare niyataharaha pranan praneshu juhvati sarvepyete yajñavidaha yajñakshapita kalmashaha.
We are now studying a very important portion in the Gita called 12 Yajnas. 12 Yajnas is the portion where he covers how to convert all our activities into worship. From the time we wake up till the time we go to bed, we go through 3 transactions of life. Namely, receipt, reaction, and response. Receipt of stimuli, for example, color and form for the eyes, smell for the nose, sound for the ears, taste for the tongue, touch for the skin. The stimuli enters from the world outside into us. We receive the stimuli. Then, depending upon the desires within in the mind, we react with those stimuli, and then we respond back into the world through the organs of action, right? So the receipt, reaction, response, these are the 3 R traffic of life, or 3 transactions of life. Prayer or worship is not a part-time, pastime, hobby. It is a full-time awareness of truth. You understand? It is not that you go into a prayer room or a place of worship, do little puja for a while, then you come back and forget about it and be absolutely selfish, self-centered. You draw the inspiration from there, bring that gratitude which you had in the prayer room, that awareness, and make sure that it is there in each and every activity of yours. That's the idea. So that's why we gave the example. You salute the national flag, you hoist the national flag in the morning, and then you go about doing all anti-national activities. It is not for that reason you salute the national flag, isn't it? To draw that inspiration of national awareness, national consciousness, and retain it throughout in your life, isn't it? So every now and then you recharge yourself. Throughout, you should retain that national awareness. So, like that, we should convert every action into worship. So what happens is, in the world, when you say yajna, people understand yajna as fire worship, right? And fire worship is conducted to fulfill certain desires, right? And there is nothing wrong in it. In fact, it has Vedic sanction to it. So, through the fire god functions like a postman. You understand? You're writing your letter to the respective devata for fulfilling your desire, for which it's not to be understood that you write a letter and it will be sanctioned. Not like that. If you are deserving, then you will be sanctioned, whatever may be your petition. Right? So when you write, you say that I will do what best I can to achieve this desire, but you be my support to make me do these actions and deserve the result. Do you get it? Like you write, if you want something, let's say you are doing some business relating to agriculture, then you write to the agriculture department, agriculture ministry. You want something in a textile ministry, you're running textile business, then you write to that particular ministry. All the ministries come under Prime Minister. Like that, different devatas come under Brahman or that one God. So Hinduism does not talk about too many gods. It talks about only one God. In fact, when you go deeply, it talks about only God. In the sense, there is only God. It is that one God that is manifested as various names and forms. So, yajna usually is understood as sacrificing various ahuti like dravya, etc., with certain prayers, with the help of the priest, to seek something from the divinity to fulfill our desires. Like I said, it has Vedic sanction. So in this yajna, if you see, there is an offering, there is a kindling. You are offering ahuti and the fire god shoots up and blesses you with the result. Right? So what has happened is, people only understand this sort of yajna. Nobody understands that yajna literally means sacrifice, and the spirit should be followed in every action of yours. They forgot that. So Sri Krishna revolutionizes it, and then he explains to us that how each and every aspect of your action from time you wake up till the time you go to bed can be converted into worship, identifying with that supreme. Worship means identification. Please understand this. You may be in the mandir, but if your thoughts are in the movie that is released recently, then you are not doing worship, isn't it? If your thoughts are there with the divinity, then you are doing worship. So while you are doing the action, if the ego is sacrificed, identifying with the higher, then it converts itself into worship. So he gives 12 yajnas covering this receipt, reaction and response. So first he says, ultimately the purpose of human existence is to realize the essential nature of us, our true nature. But to realize the true nature, to get enlightened about it, we need to have a certain pure, calm, composed, serene mind. If the sun above, which is all pervading, is to be reflected in a pond, the pond should be free of all the green mantle. what you call as kai. If there is too many, if the pond is fully covered with kai, it won't get reflected. So you got to cleanse it. Then only it will reflect. You understand? Now, if you are too preoccupied, like what do we do in the class? We generally, start our class around 10:45, though the actual class begins at 11. 15 minutes we play bhajans. And we also tell people who attend in person. This is online, at the same time hybrid. So those who want to attend in person, we say, you also try to come a little early. The reason is you settle down. Your mind relatively settle down. You tune into the bhajan, and then you're ready to receive. So we say you switch off your mobile phone or put it in silent mode. Basically, you make your mind free from all the preoccupations. So available to receive, isn't it? Same way, before gaining the knowledge and getting enlightened about your true nature, you must first purify yourself. Therefore, first he talks about yajna called Deva Yajna. All this I've covered. Before coming to 28th shloka, just covering 25, 26, 27 briefly. First he says there is something called as Deva Yajna, meaning what? Offering to respective devatas, like I just mentioned to you. You understand? If you want wealth, wealth is personified as Goddess Lakshmi. If you want knowledge, knowledge is personified as Goddess Saraswati. If you want power, power is personified as Goddess Durga, Shakti, etc. So you offer to that particular devata to receive that blessing. This symbolically means you sacrifice to a lower goal, relative ideal, which I said, if you're just working for yourself, identify with your family. Now, if you're established at the family level, work for your community. If you're established at the community level, escalate to country. If you're established at the country level, escalate to human species. Then to all species, like that, So, working for a relatively higher goal, sacrificing your efforts, right? This is called Deva Yajna, working for limited ideal. Now, when you keep doing that, what is happening is your inner personality, the ego, mind starts getting purified. I explained to you, by constant, unintelligent, unconscious thought flow towards the worldly objects and beings, your mind gets preoccupied by them leaving the impressions in you. Right? So you need to focus on the higher so that you're not thinking about the lower. You do it for the higher purpose. Then whatever comes from that, you fulfill your desires. This is called yajna. You understand? So in that way, what is happening is you're not thinking about the lower. You're only thinking about the higher. So your mind becomes free from all the preoccupations, and you also fulfill your desires from what you get. So that way you have experience also of the objects. Then you understand, okay, this is it. Your mind becomes slowly free. Like how you became free from the toy world. Once upon a time, you played with various toys, marbles, teddy bear, etc. Now you're grown up. You haven't come to this class with marbles and teddy bear. I hope not. Right? Because you are grown up. Do you understand? So when we grow up, then our mind is now ready for knowledge. And that knowledge burns the ignorance. Ignorance is sacrificed. Divinity, the supreme self, enlightenment is kindled. This is called Brahma Yajna. Limited ideal in the beginning, then absolute ideal. So some people dedicate their actions for limited ideal. Few people dedicate for absolute ideal. Who should dedicate for limited ideal? Those who want purification. Those who are purified will be dedicating for higher goal. Is this clear? These two he says. Then now he says, first is receipt. We receive the stimuli through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. So he says, see, the color and form is entering through the eyes. And when it enters, what is kindled? Perception is kindled. Isn't it? When the color and form enters, I see. When the sound enters, I hear. So he says this itself you can see as yajna. There is a stimuli entering, perception kindled. So in yajna, like I said, there is something offered, something kindled. And also in yajna, a very important factor is the whole process is done with total awareness. Please understand. Not happening mechanically. Okay? So now, since you have a higher goal, which can be limited or absolute, but you have a higher goal. Now you see what all are helpful to achieve that goal, only those stimuli you allow. Is this clear? The other stimuli you don't allow. This is called Vishaya Grahana Yajna. Vishaya means sense objects. Right? So, you allow only people who are supposed to be allowed inside the house. So many people come. Say, listen, excuse me, whom have you come to meet? Oh, the person whom you have come to meet is not at home. Come some other day. Or go and meet him in the office. Whatever it is. You're filtering. Nah? So like that you have to filter. Otherwise all kinds of nonsense goes into us. Then we have to deal with it. Why? Are you with me? So therefore, see, the whole idea is if we want to see the truth, then we have to be totally in the present. Isn't it? If our mind has lost itself in the past or future, in various distractions, it will not be able to see the truth. That's why scriptures say, Ya pashyati, saha pashyati. Whoever sees it, sees it. Just before the class, I'm sorry, what's your good name? Manjuji said, this recording helps us because we record and then, Sudarshan does the editing because my chanting is not so good. So we put somebody else's chanting and then we put it in the YouTube and then we forward it to the people who are interested. Now, she said, recording helps because when you forwarded it, I heard it again. So then I realized few things I missed while listening to you. Now, second time, I said, at this point I didn't hear properly. I didn't register. So what's happening? You're not fully available. Nah? So you're not fully grasped. So like that, if your mind is not available, how can the knowledge go in and bring about the transformation? So therefore, you have to make sure what has to go in only is allowed. This is called Vishaya Grahana Yajna. Okay. Then, once the Vishaya has gone, then what do? Generally, we keep lingering in that without ending perception with perception. Isn't it? Like, we have a party at home, so many people come, and then the party goes on for so many hours, and then one by one they're saying bye and leaving. But do they really leave? They say, Acha, bye. And then you also go with them a little bit. Then they stop and talk. And you continue. After some time again, you stop and talk. Then you go up to the car. They start the car. They open the window. They're sitting and talking still. And engine is on. They are unaware of all that. And then they say, okay, bye. And then they're about to go. Then they say, I forgot something. You're going on lingering, isn't it? You go for a tour. You go someplace. You visit. You record everything. And then you come back and play it and relive it. Isn't it? So what you're doing is you're going on indulging and creating impressions in your mind. This should be stopped. You should practice control. This is called Dhamma Yajna. Dhamma Yajna means ending perception with perception. Okay, I've perceived. Now move to the next. Move to the next. Rather than making the perception linger and create impressions. You understand? So you are sacrificing perception and kindling self-restraint. Do you understand? Your mind is moving on. And you say bye, bye, move. That's it. our Guruji Swamiji studied under Swami Chinmayananda. And he says he was, he used to drive Swami Chinmayananda as a karma to the Guru, seva to the Guru, to wherever he has to go. So he says sometimes when he is invited for lunch or something, and they're all there, some devotees also come. If Swamiji is driving and Chinmayanandaji is sitting, maybe one or two people, some guests are sitting at the back. And few others come in the different cars. So when the lunch is over, maybe a little bit, some Q&A session, all that is there. Once it's over, or Swami Chinmayanandaji feels that let's move now. He says, Swamiji understands as his personal driver, as a Sishya, means go, leave. So he immediately goes and starts the car, he sits there, and within few seconds, Chinmayanandaji comes and sits. Now, two guests who have come with him, supposing they're a little bit delayed, and they have not come, Swamiji is waiting, our Swamiji is waiting, these two guests have not come. Chinmayanandaji looks at him, means, what are you waiting for? Move! Let them come on their own if they are late. You understand? See, in other words, why this example Swamiji used to say is, when you say bye, you should stay by. When Sri Krishna left Mathura, he didn't come back. You understand? The problem is we keep on lingering in our experiences. Then the question comes, sir, not all my past experiences are bad. What is wrong if I indulge in it? The Guru says, we are not telling you to live in the present and cut your past because all your past are bad. But for the simple fact that all your past are dead. Past means dead. Why you want to be sitting, hugging the dead carcass? Move. You understand? So, ending perception with perception, that is Dhamma Yajna. Also, it means not allowing the things that need not be allowed, should not be allowed. This is called Dhamma Yajna. That is said next. So, 4 ho gaya. Deva Yajna, Brahma Yajna, Vishaya Grahana Yajna, then Dhamma Yajna. Dhamma Yajna means sense control. Now what happens? You've controlled, you've only allowed things that needs to be allowed. You have not allowed what should not be allowed, and you did not indulge in perception. You ended perception with perception. Is that all? Already there are a lot of impressions which you have collected for so many years or janmas. I gave this example. You have this glass of water, transparent glass. The water looks clean, but underneath there may be some dirt settled. If I put a spoon inside and stir it, all that will come up. Like that in us now we are looking very calm, composed, serene. But if something comes and stirs, then the reaction comes. Isn't it? So there is already settled impressions. What do you have to do about it? That you have to control. That's called Shama Yajna. Means mind control. Dhamma means sense control. Shama means mind control. How do you do that? Through jnanam, through knowledge. Right? When you sacrifice those impressions, clear them off, what is kindled? Clarity of thought is kindled. Knowledge is kindled. Self-enlightenment, realization is kindled. This is called Shama Yajna. And that you can do only through knowledge. You understand? You clearly see that all this doesn't really bring joy. So you analyze, you give Viveka Shakti. Through the Viveka Shakti, you get rid of the reactions and then you get enlightened. So receipt is over, reaction is over. What is the next? Response. So now he talks about that in verse number 28. Let's chant 28.
Dravyayajñāstapo yajñāः Yogayajñāstatha pare Svadhyayajñānayajñāscha यतयः संशितव्रताः
Yet others again offer wealth as sacrifice. Dravya yajna means sacrifice of wealth. You can also call it as dhanam. So, yet others again offer wealth as sacrifice, then austerity as sacrifice, tapo yajna, tapas as sacrifice. Then he says yoga as sacrifice, meaning called as yoga yajna. Then he says ascetics of rigid vows offer study and wisdom as sacrifice. This is called as swadhyaya jnana yajna. So we already covered 5 yajnas. In this shloka is covering 4. What are they? Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, swadhyaya jnana yajna. Now, what is this dravya yajna? Like I said, dravya means wealth. Sacrificing wealth. Here, what is sacrificed? Wealth is sacrificed. Your wealth is sacrificed. Others' wealth is kindled. This is a sacrifice yajna at the material level. See, to understand all these things, we must understand the real basics in spirituality. Like I said, there is nothing else other than divinity. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva na Manaha. Brahman, God alone exists. It is that God which is manifesting as various beings in various names and forms. Like gold has manifested itself as various ornaments. Clay has manifested itself as various pots. You understand? So the divinity has manifested itself as various beings. Now, human being alone has the capacity to work and get enlightened about this fact that our original nature is divinity, infinite. But right now, we are also covered, colored, ignorant. We don't know. So when this covering is removed, the divinity is revealing itself. That's why we call this as discovering the self. It is called discovering the self. You are already infinite. You do not know that. You are thinking yourself to be this limited individual. As you think, so shall you become. Because you are thinking that you are limited, you are feeling the void. To feel a sense of what do you call, to complete this sense of void, your thoughts run towards the world outside, and that's called desire, and you're constantly chasing the object of your desire to feel complete. Are you with me? This is what is happening. So therefore, we have to discover this ignorance. When the ignorance is removed, what remains is divinity. So, since we are feeling that we are this ego, this limited ego, to keep it secure, complete, we are going on adding many things to this ego. Isn't it? This ego requires constantly people have to say, oh, you're really beautiful. Oh, you're really, doing good job. You're doing this, you're doing that. Or we need all kinds of paraphernalia, material, physical, emotional, intellectual, more and more and more, if your identification is more with the ego. If it is less to that extent, the dependence is less. Is this clear? So now what is the idea? This all false notion should be removed, then what remains is truth. Therefore, in Vedanta we say God plus Vasanas or desires equals beings. Beings minus Vasanas equal God. So spirituality is all about losing, not gaining. Understand this. You understand? Whatever you are adding to make the ego satisfied, slowly, you need to let go. So that's why Dhanam is one of the most important practice emphasized in spirituality. Okay? Now, the wealth is not, you're not saying my wealth, it's me. It's part of me. Isn't it? I am millionaire. I'm billionaire. Means what? That's me. Isn't it? I've become one with it now. It's become me. Now, when I'm sacrificing, a part of me is going. So that's why a lot of people feel very disturbed. Mine is gone. You invested in the share market. Market has gone down. Part of you is gone. Market goes up. Very good. Not more has added to me. You understand? So therefore, in spirituality, Dhanam is emphasized. So what do? You sacrifice your wealth to kindle others' wealth. This is called one yajna, dravya yajna. This is the response some people do. Receipt, reaction, response. So in the world, they are sacrificing their wealth, kindling others' wealth. Obviously, they are doing it consciously, conscientiously. Then comes tapo yajna. Tapa means austerity as it is translated, but here it is done at the body level. Strictly speaking, tapas is what? You deny with will, isn't it? You consciously deny to develop inner strength. Swamiji nicely puts it as conservation of energy that is getting dissipated in the lower channel and directing the conserved energy towards the higher. This is called tapas. Conservation of energy that is getting dissipated in the lower and directing the conserved energy towards the higher. So you basically trying to make yourself strong, not just physical, but the whole personality. In this context here, the word tapas is taken by Swamiji as physical sacrifice. See, if let's say somebody is getting married, somebody very close to you, in their family there's a wedding. One is you go to the wedding when they've invited you, go to the wedding, and then you give them a check as a gift. That is dravya yajna. Other is you may do that, you may not be able to do that. Depends on person to person. But what do? You go there few days before, and then you take part in the activities, and you say, okay, let me take this responsibility. I'll do this for you. So you are doing now what? Your physical efforts are being sacrificed, isn't it? So when you sacrifice your physical efforts, their material and physical comfort is kindled. Do you understand? So this is another kind of response that you can do. So one is called dravya yajna, other is called tapo yajna, physical. One is material, other is physical. Now, all sacrifices are sacrifices, but compared to the material, physical is slightly more superior. Yes or no? Now, after that, the next yajna he talks about is yoga yajna. Yoga comes from the root yuj, which means to unite, union. So you unite with the people at large and sacrifice your mind and intellect for uplifting their mind and intellect. You understand? This is a spiritual service. You sacrifice your emotions and thoughts to uplift their emotions and thoughts. Isn't this slightly superior than the first two? Dravya, Yajna, Tapo Yajna, then Yoga Yajna, where you are sacrificing your emotions and thoughts. Pardon? Somebody is going through tough time, right? You sit with them and then you give them emotions, give them clarity through thoughts, uplift their spirit and help them to grow, evolve. So it becomes yoga yajna in that context. Is this okay? So dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna. Now he says swadhyaya jnana yajna. And then he says this swadhyaya jnana yajna is done by ascetics of rigid vows. What he means to say is, this yajna is far superior to all the other three that he mentioned. In the sense, what is happening here is swadhyaya jnana yajna, means yajna of self-study. In self-study, where you are gaining the knowledge and your ignorance is being sacrificed. You are sacrificing your ignorance, you are sacrificing the ego, understanding that it is a false notion through the knowledge, and you are getting established in the knowledge, wisdom. So here what is happening? Ignorance of the self, ignorance of your true nature is sacrificed, and self-realization, wisdom is kindled. Now, he says, of later on he's going to say, of all the yajnas, jnana yajna is superior. In fact, from this only, Swami Chinmayanandaji took this term jnana yajna, and then Gita lecture series that he gives in different cities, he called it as Jnana Yajna series. We also have that every year. Sunandaji comes and gives lecture in Delhi. We call it as Gita Jnana Yajna. Otherwise, people are doing all kinds of other yajnas, but nobody is doing Jnana Yajna. Jnana Yajna alone can finally elevate you to that level. See, when you travel in the aircraft, they first give you all the instructions, no? So they say at times of emergency, oxygen mask will drop. You help yourself, then help the others. Don't help the others, then help you. Why? Because as you're helping, you may get choked and you may not be able to help, and they may also get choked. So first you have to help yourself, then help others. So first you have to remove the ignorance from within. Only to the extent the ignorance is removed, to that extent you can do service. Otherwise, even the service you render will be selfish. Let's say, for example, you are running on NGO, I am running on NGO. Both of us want to distribute blankets to people during winter who are dwelling on the platform. And before my NGO could go and deliver the blankets to the people, Nishitji's NGO has gone and delivered. I'll get agitated. Yeah, I wanted to do service, he's done it. You understand? Now, basically what is happening here is, this service is more done for my sake than the others. Do you understand? So only to the extent I have conquered my ego, I have conquered my ignorance, I can do service. Few years ago, many times I've given talks in Rotary. Usually it is 20 minutes. One particular Rotary talk, they said, you have to talk for 1 hour. I said, okay. And they asked me, what topic? I said, I don't know, whatever topic you choose. Then something struck me. I asked them, what's your motto? Rotary's motto. Then they said, service before self. I said, okay, then the topic will be self before service. No, you understand? I said, what? If I say what, then what will I say on that day when I talk? So that day you listen. So I said, okay. See, we are not playing with words. When they say service before self, the word self is with small s. When I said self before service, the word self is with capital S. What I mean to say here is, first I have to get as close as possible to my center, the divinity within. Then only I'll be able to do true service. Otherwise, one incomplete person trying to help the other incomplete person. Not possible. For example, you may say, I am sacrificing my wealth to you. Right? Too many shirts are there, let me give it to them. Let's say, I'm wearing the shirt you gave me, and I've come for the talk. Somebody is asking, yes, sir, this shirt is very nice. Where you got it? Before I could say something, the gentleman who gave me the shirt, he says, the shirt he is wearing is his now, but I gave it to him. So you have still not really renounced. Instead of keeping in your pocket, it is in his pocket. That's all. You get it? So therefore I said, first make yourself strong. Then only you can do service. That's all was the idea. So therefore here, when he says Swadhyaya Gnana Yajna, means you sit down. First you understand that I myself right now functioning at a very gross superficial level. I need to go to my root. You understand? And I have to sit and do tapas, sit and study, reflect, remove the ignorance. And to the extent I've removed the ignorance and gained wisdom, only to that extent I can do all other service. Is this clear? So therefore he says, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, which is what? The yajna of self-study ending in wisdom, resulting in wisdom. This, of all these four, Dravya, Tapa, Yoga, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the highest. Where you sit down and reflect, study, and there are masters who have not gone and lectured. Right? For example, Swami Chinmayananda, many of us know. Right? How many of us know Tapon Maharaj? I don't know how many people know. Tapon Maharaj is his guru. Okay. Tapon Maharaj stayed in Uttarkashi. I don't know if he came down, or even if he came down very little, he might have come down. He stayed there, and people like Swami Chinmayananda, he produced. Are you with me? So he did Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, and people like Swami Chinmayananda went to him, gained the knowledge, and they came down and they did other services also. But for all this to happen, most important thing is what? Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. So, now what is happening, we can call it as Jnana Yajna, where we are inquiring, analyzing, studying, questioning. But Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is, you are sitting alone, reflecting, questioning, with the help of the Shastra. And this we say, the best time to do is early hours of the day. And that time is called Brahma Muhurta. 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Now, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. is a wonderful time for you to do Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, provided you went to bed early and slept well. You only go to bed at 2 a.m. And 4 a.m. how can you sit and study? It's not possible. In fact, one of my friends says, you should not be bothered about setting alarm to go to sleep. Sorry, to wake up. You should set alarm to go to sleep. Because when the body takes enough rest, it will wake you up automatically. So he says, be concerned about setting alarm to go to sleep. So, when your body is sufficiently rested and the external environment also is very quiet and convenient for you to sit and focus and study, reflect, and your mind is not bringing out all the desires that is there in you in the morning hours, slowly it comes out, isn't it? So from inside, from outside, and at the body level, the body is rested at all angles. That time is best suited to do self-study and reflection. And when you do self-study and reflection, then you understand the falsitude of ego. And because you don't understand, you're giving so much importance to it. The whole life is just for that. Do you understand? Therefore, that is called Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. So, 4 kinds of responses he talks about here. Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, Yoga Yajna, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. Of course, in this hierarchy, the highest is Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. But doesn't mean that you don't do the other yajnas. To the extent you have understood, to that extent you put in effort and do the sacrifice, whether it is dravya, tapa, yoga, doesn't matter. Do all the yajnas. This is how you can respond and make the response into a worship. You understand? And he says this is done by ascetics of rigid vow. Why? This kind of Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is not possible for anybody and everybody. You have to be an ascetic of rigid vow. What he means to say is, some amount of purification process you should have gone through. Otherwise, it's not possible. See, like I said, before the class we play bhajans. In that what happens, first one is you tune to divinity, right? Other is at least your organ of speech, vachika, is not gossiping. Otherwise, you people come, no bhajan going on. Kya hua? I didn't see you in the party last night. You understand? So all these kind of things we start indulging in. You understand? Slowly. So that is creating certain what? Disturbance in the thoughts, in the mind. Are you with me? Then you are like the hot plate. On that hot plate, if I sprinkle water, what will happen? It will immediately evaporate. You have to be like the sponge which absorbs. Do you get it? So therefore, you have to do other sadhanas and purify yourself. That is what he calls as ascetics of rigid vows. You must have practiced Vishaya Grahana Yajna, Dhamma Yajna, Shama Yajna, Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, all this, so that you are relatively calm. Right? So Swamiji says, at least don't, if supposing the thought comes and you want to gossip, you want to talk something negative about somebody else, mostly in their absence. So some thought like that is coming. Because the mahol is like that, the environment is like that, everybody is going about gossiping. So then you also, let's say, get the pressure to talk like. So someone says, at least restrain yourself from verbalizing it. It has come up to the thought. Put that effort. Put that effort. Control. Then you've stopped it at that level. Then slowly what happens? Even at the thought level, negative will not come. Then you will go one further step beyond. What is that? First is you're not verbalizing, you're gossiping thoughts, negative thoughts. You control, you gain some strength. Then with that strength, you can control the negative thoughts coming only. Is this clear? You can control the negative thoughts from surfacing. Now once you are aware and you control the negative thoughts from surfacing, you now start consciously bringing in positive thoughts. Do you understand? So not only have you gained control over your thoughts, now you are influencing and bringing out positive thoughts. That much control you can slowly gain in yourself. That's how this is called ascetics of rigid vow. Otherwise you get scared. Rigid vow, oh, I should not eat this, I should not like that. Basically, you are not, what do you call, having no control over yourself. Only relatively when you're sitting down to study. Now supposing in this class, supposing you suddenly think, did I switch off the gas cylinder? Supposing a thought comes like that. Or where did I leave my keys? Did I leave it in the car itself? Supposing a thought comes like that. Will you be able to sit and study? So therefore, you must do sadhana and bring yourself to a certain level of composure and then do the self-study. Otherwise, it will not work. It will not help. Like I said, there's a very important book Swamiji has written. It's called Vedanta Treatise. It took about 20 years to write. I mentioned it last week. In that book, there's a topic. It's called How to Gain Wisdom. So when he talks about how to gain wisdom, he gives a very interesting example. He gives the example of the process of making curd. How do you make curd? You boil the milk, bring it to lukewarm condition. Then to that lukewarm milk, you add little jamun and leave it overnight, and next day it gets converted into curd. Isn't it? Same way, your mind should be sattvic, not rajasic or tamasic. Rajasic means too hot milk. Tamasic means too cold milk. It should be sattvic. Your mind should be sattvic, lukewarm. To that sattvic mind, you add little jamun of knowledge. Like today, we added verse 28. Isn't it? We're seeing verse number 28. Then, once you have studied, leave it. Throughout the day, you would go about doing your activity. Like radium passed in a cancer patient, it silently works in you while you're doing all other activities in the day. Right? Then slowly, this information gets transformed into wisdom, becomes curd. Once it becomes curd, it settles. Milk is fluid. Curd is solid, steady. Like that, your wisdom gets established. So therefore, he says, ascetics of rigid vows, they do swadhyaya, jnana, yajna. Unless and until you bring yourself to sattvic mind state, it's difficult to grasp the knowledge and bring about the transformation. So that's why I remember once when Sunandaji gave a lecture in the academy, while I was studying that time, she talked on the topic sadhana. There she said, as sadhaks, as much as possible, we should not allow ourselves to get disturbed. Our primary goal is to gain the knowledge, right? Unnecessarily don't get trapped in arguments, etc. Then, supposing we get into argument, like I was coming to this class, in between, let's say, on the way, something happened and somebody was arguing with me, and I start arguing, I get so disturbed, will I be able to conduct this class? So I must always remember, my purpose is to get back to the self, and I am now a sadhak working towards it. So as much as possible, I have to keep myself calm. So I have to therefore do sadhana, tapas for that reason. I have to be an ascetic from that angle. I have certain vows not to disturb my mind. With that mind, when I sit and inquire using the scripture, I will be able to grasp the knowledge and remove the ignorance and realize the self. Therefore, he says, some people do swadhyaya jnana yajna and they do lot of rigid vows to bring about the power of tapas in them. Right? So they sharpen themselves. That's what he's saying. They sharpen themselves. So 4 responses at all levels: material, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual and wisdom. 4 responses we studied. Now there are 2 more slokas, 29, 30. So we have covered how many yajnas? 9. Deva yajna, Brahma yajna, Vishaya grahana yajna, Dhamma yajna, Shama yajna, Dravya yajna, Tapo yajna, Yoga yajna, Swadhyaya Jnana yajna. 3 more remaining, which we'll see next week. Let's conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.